The signal goes live. A kill chain, months in the making, is now complete. In the heart of Damascus, a city already scarred by a decade of war, the rules of engagement have just been rewritten in fire and steel. A high-value target, a name whispered in the intelligence corridors of Washington, Tel Aviv, and Tehran, has been erased from the board. This is not a random act of violence. This is a decapitation strike, a calculated, surgical removal of a key node in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force Command Structure. The target: Major General Sayed Razi Mousavi, one of the most senior and influential IRGC commanders operating outside of Iran. He was not just a soldier. He was an architect of Iran's shadow war across the Levant, a direct subordinate to the legendary Qasem Soleimani and his successor in Syria. His neutralization in the Sayyida Zainab district of Damascus is a strategic shockwave. It's a message delivered via precision-guided munition, demonstrating a terrifying level of intelligence penetration and operational reach. But as the smoke clears over the Syrian capital, a far more dangerous protocol is being activated hundreds of miles away in Tehran. Iran's leadership has confirmed the kill and has sworn severe revenge. Their global network of proxies, sleeper cells, and covert operatives has been placed on the highest state of alert. The chess pieces are moving. The front line is everywhere. The question is no longer times if times Iran will retaliate, but times how, where, and when. Welcome to Breaking the Front. We are tracking the developing situation minute by minute. Let's break down the anatomy of this strike, the intelligence that made it possible, and the activation of Iran's global revenge protocol. The stakes have never been higher. The strike occurred at approximately 1620 local time. Initial reports from Syrian state media spoke of an Israeli aggression targeting a residential building in the Damascus suburbs. This is standard terminology, a diplomatic smokescreen for a reality far more precise. The target was not the building. The target was the man inside it. 3 missiles, according to eyewitnesses and preliminary forensic analysis, struck the location. This was not a saturation bombing. This was surgical. The munitions used were likely air-to-surface missiles, possibly Delilah cruise missiles or S-Spy series guided bombs, known for their pinpoint accuracy and deployed by the Israeli Air Force, the primary suspect in this operation. Major General Mousavi was a ghost. For years, he operated as the Quds Force's chief logistics and coordination officer in Syria. He was the man who ensured the land bridge of weapons, technology, and personnel from Tehran through Iraq to Syria and ultimately to Hezbollah in Lebanon remained open and operational. He personally oversaw the transfer of precision-guided missile components, advanced drone technology, and strategic military hardware. To understand his importance, you must understand his history. He was a veteran of the Iran-Iraq War, a contemporary of Qasem Soleimani himself. After Soleimani's elimination by a U.S. drone strike in 2020, figures like Mousavi became critically important. They were the old guard, the institutional memory, the trusted agents tasked with rebuilding and expanding Iran's network of resistance. His death is a catastrophic blow to the IRGC's operational security and command structure in the Levant. It demonstrates a critical failure in their counterintelligence and personal security protocols. A general of his rank and importance does not get targeted by accident. His location, his routine, and his presence, at that specific moment, were known to his enemies. This brings us to the core of this event, the intelligence kill chain. A strike of this precision is the final, explosive conclusion to a long and silent intelligence war. The process begins with intelligence collection, a multifaceted, relentless pursuit of a high-value target's pattern of life. The first link in the chain is often signals intelligence, or SIG-INT. Every phone call made, every encrypted message sent, is a potential vulnerability. It is highly probable that Mousavi, or someone in his inner circle, used a communication device that was compromised. State-level intelligence agencies can exploit vulnerabilities in commercial phones, or use sophisticated IMS eye catchers to intercept communications. They hunt for a single mistake, a single moment of lax OPSEC, where a call is made on an unsecured line, or a critical detail is passed through a monitored channel. The second, and perhaps most critical link, is human intelligence, or HUMINT, an asset on the ground. A source within the IRGC, the Syrian military, or one of the allied militias. This strike reeks of a betrayal from within. Someone with direct or indirect access to Mousavi's itinerary provided the final, actionable intelligence that placed him at that specific location, at that specific time. This human element is the holy grail of intelligence operations. It provides the ground truth that satellite imagery cannot. Was it a disgruntled subordinate? A paid informant? Or an agent cultivated over years? We may never know, but the precision of the strike strongly suggests a human source confirmed Mousavi's presence just prior to the weapons being released. The third link is imagery intelligence, or IMINT. High-resolution satellite imagery and persistent drone surveillance would have been used to monitor the target location for weeks, if not months. Analysts would study every vehicle that arrived, every individual who entered or left, establishing a baseline of normal activity. They would be looking for anomalies. The arrival of Mousavi's specific armored vehicle, an increase in security personnel, a meeting of known IRGC figures. This visual data, combined with SIGINT and HUMINT, creates a multi-layered intelligence picture, a process known as fusion. Once the intelligence is fused and a window of opportunity is identified, the kill chain accelerates dramatically. A decision maker, likely at the highest levels of the Israeli government and military, would have given the green light. The strike package, likely F-16I Sufa or F-35I Adir stealth fighters, would have been on standby alert, possibly already airborne. The jets would not need to enter Syrian airspace directly, which is a complex and contested environment saturated with Russian-made S-300 and S-400 air defense systems. Using long-range, precision-guided munitions, they can strike targets deep within Syria, from the relative safety of Lebanese airspace, or even from over the Golan Heights. The Syrian Arab Air Defense Forces would have had only seconds to react, if they detected the incoming missiles at all. From the moment the final go order was given, based on that last piece of confirmatory intelligence, to the moment of impact, the timeline could have been as short as 10 minutes. It is a stunning display of intelligence dominance and military capability, a capability designed for exactly this purpose: to dismantle an enemy's command and control by removing its key leaders. Subtitles. This malicious crime will not go unanswered. The Zionist regime will pay the price for this atrocity. Our revenge will be harsh and severe. The response from Tehran was swift and unambiguous. This was not an attack on a random soldier or a low-level militia fighter. This was an attack on the IRGC's core leadership. The language used by Iranian state media and top officials is the same language used after the killing of Qasem Soleimani. It is a promise of blood for blood. This is where the revenge protocol comes into play. It is not a single, pre-planned operation. It is a strategic doctrine, a state of readiness across Iran's entire global network of influence. The order has been given to prepare for retaliatory action. This activation puts every U.S. and Israeli asset in the Middle East, and potentially globally, on notice. The first and most immediate front is Iraq and Syria. U.S. forces stationed at bases like Al-Assad in Iraq and Al-Tanf in Syria are now at their highest force protection condition. We can expect an immediate and sustained increase in drone and rocket attacks by Iranian-backed Shia militias. These are deniable, low-cost attacks designed to bleed American forces and signal Iranian resolve. The second front is the maritime domain, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the Red Sea, where the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen have already been escalating attacks on international shipping. The Houthis may be ordered to directly target U.S. naval vessels or Israeli-linked commercial ships with greater frequency and with more sophisticated weaponry, such as anti-ship ballistic missiles. The USS Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group, currently operating in the region, is a potent symbol of American power, but it is also a high-value target. A direct attack on a U.S. warship would be a massive escalation, but it is a contingency for which the Pentagon is actively preparing. The third front is Hezbollah in Lebanon. This is Iran's premier proxy, its crown jewel. Hezbollah possesses an arsenal of over 150,000 rockets and missiles, many of them precision-guided, capable of overwhelming Israel's Iron Dome defense system. While a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah is something both sides have sought to avoid, a targeted assassination of this magnitude could force Hezbollah's hand. A limited, but significant, cross-border attack using anti-tank missiles against Israeli military posts, or a barrage of rockets aimed at northern Israel, is a highly likely response. This would be a calibrated escalation, designed to exact a price without triggering an all-out war that would devastate Lebanon. The fourth front is global and covert. The Revenge Protocol activates IRGC Quads Force and Ministry of Intelligence operatives and sleeper cells worldwide. Diplomatic missions, civilian infrastructure, and prominent individuals associated with Israel or the United States could become targets. This is the shadow war, fought in cyberspace and in the back alleys of foreign cities. We can anticipate a surge in cyber attacks targeting critical infrastructure, power grids, financial institutions, and government networks. These attacks are difficult to attribute definitively and allow Iran to strike its enemies with a degree of plausible deniability. The strategic dilemma for Iran is immense. Their leadership must balance the need to project strength and satisfy a domestic audience baying for blood with the existential risk of provoking a direct, conventional war with the United States or Israel, a war they cannot win. Therefore, the Iranian response will likely be multifaceted and staggered over time. This is their doctrine of strategic patience, which in this context means strategic revenge. It will not be a single event, but a campaign, a death by 1,000 cuts. They will probe for weaknesses, test responses, and escalate in domains where they have a tactical advantage. The international reaction has been muted but tense. The White House has made no official comment, adhering to a policy of not discussing alleged Israeli operations. Behind the scenes, diplomatic channels are undoubtedly in overdrive, attempting to de-escalate and contain the fallout. Russia, a key ally of the Assad regime in Syria, has condemned the strike as a violation of sovereignty, but their capacity to influence events is limited. This decapitation strike serves multiple strategic purposes for its architects. First, it physically disrupts Iran's military logistics in a critical theater of operations. Musavi is not easily replaced. His network of contacts, his operational experience, and the trust he commanded are irreplaceable in the short term. Second, it acts as a powerful deterrent. It sends an unequivocal message to the remaining IRGC leadership. You are not safe. Not in Damascus, not in Beirut, not in Baghdad. We have the intelligence, we have the reach, and we have the will to find you. This forces them to become more cautious, to restrict their movements, and to spend more time looking over their shoulders, degrading their overall operational effectiveness. Third, it reshapes the battlefield. By systematically removing the experienced old guard, the Soleimanis and Mousavis of the world, the architects of this shadow war are forcing Iran to rely on a younger, less experienced generation of commanders. These new leaders may be more prone to making mistakes, both in operational security and in strategic judgment. However, the risk of miscalculation is now extraordinarily high. While Iran's leadership may prefer a calibrated response, the anger and desire for revenge within the IRGC's rank and file is a powerful force. A local commander of a proxy militia in Iraq or a Houthi missile crew in Yemen could take matters into their own hands, launching an attack that crosses a red line and triggers an unstoppable escalatory spiral. The death of Major General Sayed Razi Mousavi is not the end of a chapter. It is the explosive start of a new one. A high-stakes intelligence operation has successfully eliminated a key enemy commander, but in doing so, it has activated a global protocol of revenge, placing the entire Middle East on a knife's edge. The coming days and weeks will be critical. Every rocket launch, every cyber glitch, every suspicious vessel in the Gulf will be scrutinized as a potential first move in Iran's retaliation. The front line is no longer a line in the sand. It is a global network of tension, ready to snap. The decapitation strike was the cause. The effect is now imminent, and the world watches, waiting for the first tremor of the coming earthquake. This leads us to the critical question we must now consider. Was this precision strike a necessary act of strategic deterrence, successfully disrupting Iran's malign activities and preventing future attacks? Or was it a reckless escalation, a poke in the eye of a wounded power that has now lit the fuse on a much wider and far more devastating regional war? The kill chain is complete, but the chain reaction has just begun. For minute-by-minute analysis and breaking updates on Iran's response and the geopolitical fallout, make sure you are subscribed to Breaking the Front. Hit the bell icon to be notified the moment we go live. The situation is fluid. Stay informed. Stay vigilant.